Hello and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hi, what's up? I'm Gemma and I talk a lot about user experience and user interface design. If that's something you're interested in, then why not hit that subscribe button? I know this is a different setup to usual and I hope you like this setup a little bit better. I'm still trying to get used to using a new camera and some new lights, and hopefully quality of this video is a little bit better than usual. So yeah, let's get on with the video. All designers want to move up the ladder, but spoiler alert, there isn't really a defined checklist. But realistically, what is the difference between a junior designer, a middleweight designer, and a senior designer? One of the main differences is experience. A move up the ladder takes a little bit of time and it's not something you can do overnight. Neither in 1 to 2 years. It's something which can take roughly 5 to 10 years in order to make your way up the ladder to reach a senior level. But let's say you're ready to have the conversation with your boss and you want to move up the ladder. How do you know when you're ready? But before we do that, let's look at the differences between the responsibilities of a junior designer, a middleweight designer, and a senior designer. So a junior designer tends to have less responsibilities. This is just due to lack of experience and the fact that they're still finding their feet and they don't really know what they want to do yet within the UX field. Juniors tend to solve singular problems, usually set tasks by their seniors, not required to do the whole process. They normally concentrate on a singular problem at one time. They usually get assigned tasks which are a lower priority, and this is so they can get a feel for the product and come up with a singular solution. This is mainly because they don't have the experience to see the overall picture and they normally kind of concentrate on a singular problem other than the whole project as a whole. Juniors are allowed to make mistakes. Maybe a whole problem wasn't solved correctly or they missed a requirement. But this is expected because that's okay, they are still learning in their process. Juniors are usually shielded from harsh feedback. And they're really involved in client meetings, and that is maybe because they are not ready to take criticism and harsh feedback and unable to determine the difference between feedback for the product they created and not a reflection on them. Separating your work from you as a person is something which comes with experience, something which isn't very easy to do. It usually comes with a lot of experience and just time in general. Deadlines are usually a little bit longer. As a junior, you're not expected to come up with a solution in a couple of hours. You normally get a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. But this doesn't mean you get to sit around and do nothing and then try and meet the deadline in a couple of hours. Take all the time you're given and ask questions and gain feedback as much as possible. You'll be a better designer for it. Trying to learn everything on your job during 9 to 5 is just not feasible. You need to learn some resources outside of your working hours. That could be reading, that could be watching some YouTube videos, or really deep diving into the project and just learning more. Create wireframes, create prototypes. Do all these things while you're still learning because you will really benefit from it in the future. Spend time learning the difference between UX and UI. Some designers don't know which path they want to take, whether they want to take a visual path or whether they want to go down the research path. Don't jump straight into visual design and spend time pushing pixels. This will not benefit you and you need to start from the very beginning, which is normally the research side of it, and then the wireframes, and then you move on to visual. Instead, spend time on the process of UX, talk to your users, create wireframes, and solve the problems. And last but not least, patience. You should really enjoy your time as a junior. This is the time where you get to learn as much as possible. You get to make as much mistakes as possible. It's really beneficial when you just want to move up in the ladder. You need to be able to understand what it's like to be a junior, to start from the bottom and work your way up. And try not to focus on the ladder, trying to think, well, I should be at a senior level by now. It takes time, it's all about experience, and it is going to take you a while to jump that ladder from a junior to a senior. Now let's take a look at middleweight. Prioritization. At this point in your career, you should be well under your way and understand that you can prioritize your workload on your own. Time management at this point in your career is something that you need to understand and you need to do yourself. You need to manage your time effectively and meet the deadlines that have been set. At this point, you may be asked to attend client meetings and you may also have to present some of your ideas. This is usually to help you transition from a junior level up to a middleweight and then eventually a senior, where you sit down with clients, discuss your ideas, show them your prototypes, and are able to talk through your designs as clear and simple as possible. But don't worry, you won't be on your own. You will usually have a senior with you, a project manager, or a business analysis to be there with you to deflect all the awkward questions that may come from a client, whether that's to do with budgets, or maybe it was just a point that you didn't make clearly, but again, that's okay. You're not at the senior level yet and you're allowed to make mistakes, but the senior project manager or business analysis can jump in and help you out along the way. At this point, you should be able to practice your path and you should know exactly what you want to do as a designer, whether that's UX research, visual design, UX design, UI design. It's really up to you, and at this point you should kind of know your path and you should be on your way to completing it. You will now be expected to collaborate with the development team, and that could be checking that the work has been implemented correctly, come up with solutions if something has been missed, and just liaison with them throughout the whole project to make sure everything meets the correct standards. And last but not least, for a middleweight, continue to learn. You still don't know everything yet, and that's okay. Everything is always changing and you need to keep up with everything. Continue to learn, and at this point in your career, you're still allowed to make mistakes. So still pick up projects in your spare time, still do your reading, still do your YouTubing, just do everything that you possibly can to make yourself the best designer as you can. Now let's take a look at senior. When you're finally at the senior level, the roles are drastically different from a junior, a middleweight, and seniors tend to map out the whole process. So they get to see the bigger picture. They don't just concentrate on a singular problem, they get to look at everything and they are responsible for everything. So you are no longer the one who can go to somebody if you need help. You are now the help. You are now able to see the bigger picture and map out the whole project. You do this in order to delegate some tasks to your middleweights and your juniors and make sure they have everything they can to get on with what they need. You will now be the point of contact to the client, so they will email you, they may call you, but you are now the point of contact, where when you were a middleweight or a junior, you don't usually liaison with clients. That's normally down to the senior level. Your role is to be the communicator between the UX process and the client's expectations. You now have the ability to take criticism and make it into something productive. Sometimes clients can be extremely harsh and it may sound like something is being directed at you personally, but it's not. It's usually directed at the work, and you now have the ability to remove yourself from the situation and look at it from the bigger picture and see that the criticism is towards the product that you've created and not towards you personally, but then you're able to take the criticism that has been given and turn it into something great. At this point in your career, you're an expert at managing your own time. Sometimes project managers or business analysts are just not on the project. You to be able to manage the time and hit the deadline for the project. Managing your own time can be stressful, but it is something that just comes with the job. You're now required to work on multiple projects at once. And yes, I mean multiple projects at once. And you bounce between tasks. You could be working on a client project, and then you could be working on an internal project, then you could be liaison with the developers, you could be in a workshop, you could be writing tenders. You are all around the business at this point. You are now point of contact for everyone, and that just comes with the role of being senior. And this brings me on to my next point. You are usually involved in the tender process with the sales team. Sometimes you need to be involved, sometimes you need to give a clear estimation of how long something is going to take within a project, and this is so the sales team can accurately add a number to the project and to the tenders that will be going out into the world. You will also understand the development process, and you will be able to come up with alternative solutions if the first solution couldn't be implemented. You are responsible for issues in the designs if the development team can't implement what has been proposed. This could be due to tech or time restraints, and you need to be able to offer an impromptu solution in order to not hold up the development process. You are also now responsible for the overall solution, so you need to be able to set some time aside over the juniors' work, the middleweights' work, in order to make sure it meets the expectations and standards. The deadlines at the senior level are actually quite short. A few hours a day at most, depending on the requirements. You don't get months and weeks anymore, unfortunately. You have to be able to deliver your work faster, but this actually does come with experience, and you usually do get a lot quicker at your job if you do it over and over again. It's really about a repetitive process, and the more you do it, the quicker you become. And last but not least, you are initially responsible for the juniors' work and the middleweights' work. You are their role model and you are their mentor. So make sure these guys are happy, they're learning, and they have plenty of work to do. And that's it. That's the difference between a junior designer, a middleweight designer, and a senior designer. Senior is a very different role from a junior, and it is something which does come with experience, and it is something that you need to work towards, and you will build up eventually. It is kind of not unknown, but it is kind of rare for a junior to start off at one company and then progress to a senior at the same company. You usually move around, you usually jump between agency to agency or in-house to in-house. And yeah, that's the way I would suggest to do it. Don't get stuck in one place, jump around. You're entitled to get experience elsewhere, working under different people. You'll gain a lot more experience than what you would be being in one place. And the process could be extremely different from one agency to the next. So again, if you jump around, you're forever learning. So don't be afraid to apply for that job ad and yeah, get a job elsewhere. It's up to you, it's your role, it's your career, and do what's best for you. If you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like me to go into more detail in, leave a comment below and I'll sure to get back to you. Or you can drop me a message over on Instagram. You can follow me here. And last but not least, if you like this type of content, why not like and subscribe and get notified every time I upload a new video. But until next time, bye!